So what was it like
What?
being homeless?
Lonely. I don't know how to explain it. It's so foreign to me, you know? It's like, I never thought I'd be homeless. I never thought I never thought that could happen to me. You know, I grew up relatively privileged, I guess you could say. And then at one point that just kind of changed. I lost we lost the house that we lived in for a really long time. I was living in this home since I was 8 years old, and after my parents got divorced, we couldn't afford to pay the mortgage. So my father said that he would step in, and the reason my parents got divorced was because my mother was an alcoholic and my father was mentally ill, and my mother got clean, and sorry, my mother got clean and she left my father, but he definitely put us through a lot. So I never really trusted him, but I had no choice but to trust him. Otherwise, I would have been homeless, escaping inevitable. And so I lived with my father from May 2017 to January 1st, 2018. And ever since I moved in with him, I noticed his mental state digressing. He hadn't had a like a attack, or not an attack, but an outburst in a really long time. He was taking his medication consistently, and when he moved in, when he was on his own, he decided that it wasn't important. Fast forward those couple months, I was tiptoeing around him all the time. Like at one point I was sleeping in my closet, and because I was afraid of like what he would do at night, I thought he was, gonna hurt me, or...
Was he abusive?
Yeah, my father was definitely abusive. Especially when he was in that state of mind. So it was frightening. But my father was acting very, very strange right before I left. He invited these mentally ill people that lived over next door, and they were ex-convicts, and one of the guys has a history of child molestation, and he invited these men over to our house, and that was the day I left. It dawned on me, all these years being trapped in this family, being subjected to this, always being afraid, always having to fight for myself because no one would fight for me. I couldn't do it anymore. I had to leave. And my mother couldn't step up because she was with her boyfriend, who was, of course, abusive, living with him, and why would I put myself in another situation when I could just take care of myself? So I left, and none of my family stepped up. I was working 3 jobs just to support myself, but I didn't have a residency. I lied to Alfred University, saying that I was still living with my father, and I lied to my school. I would pick up mail when my father wasn't home, and it was really difficult. It just like kept the secret all the time. And yeah, it finally made me crack. I was alone. I was so alone. I was afraid and alone, and I didn't know what to do.
Where did you end up staying?
Luckily, I had a really good friend from my early childhood whose mother was like a second mother to me, and she took me in. But I didn't have residency for 3.5 months, 4 months. Going to school full time, working throughout the entire winter. I was working 3 jobs. I was so broke. And I paid for my deposit on the school with that money that I worked for during the winter time. I was working like such shit hours. I was working at a bar as a host, and it was getting handled terribly, like they were abusing me, my time and my youth, because I would work long hours and
What about school?
I did the best I could. I came to school on time every day, even though I wasn't even living in the city bounds anymore. I took the bus. I walked through ice storms, snow, you name it. I did it.
Where did you live?
With my with my friend's mother, and but she wasn't there most of the time either. So it was.
Well, I mean, where in New York?
Binghamton. Binghamton, New York. It's a crime-riddled city.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that.
It's not a good place to live. If I had one thing to say, like one defining thing that I've learned or just experienced, it is that I shouldn't be ashamed of being homeless.
It's a part of your life.
It is.
It's something that happened to you.
It is. And it's my experience, it's my story, and hopefully it can help someone. Hopefully it can help someone feel like they're not alone,
Well, just know that you're not alone anymore.
Yeah. I think that one of the most difficult things in and these are just materials, so they're not that important. I still have my life, but I don't have any part of my childhood anymore. Everything that I had was in that house, and it's gone now. All the things that we carry with us throughout life, memorabilia, baby toys, photographs, they're gone. The house is condemned now. My father ended up doing drugs, and he was addicted to crack cocaine, and he was doing meth, and he was sleeping with people off Craigslist. It's just so wild to think that, my life went from one thing to another.
In a blink of an eye.
Well, I guess you could say that, my life appeared to be really good from the outside, but it never was, I was always dealing with something. And it wasn't just like regular things. It wasn't like regular like money issues. It was like, oh my God, where are we gonna live? Oh my God, my mom's passed out drunk. Oh my dad, you know, he's beating my mom. I have to call the police, you know. And I'm just really fortunate to be out of that. It's not me. It's not my life. It's my story. It's my experience, but it's not who I am.
Yeah. It doesn't define you.
And I made it here. I'm out. And I can reflect and I can share.
And you're doing so much better.
Yeah. And I'm doing a lot better now. So that's good, I guess.
It's great. Let's just think of the positive. It's hard to let go, but I think you're doing pretty fucking great right now.
Thanks. You know, I'm out of that box. I have no box.
You're free.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking nice.
Yeah.